The girl stared at the giant portrait hanging in the billionaire's mansion, and her heart nearly stopped. It was a picture of her mother, a woman the billionaire should have never known. "Where did you get this?" she whispered, trembling. The billionaire froze, his face draining of color. "You shouldn't have seen that," he muttered, but the girl stepped closer, refusing to look away. "Why is my mother's photo in your house?" For years, she believed her mother lived a simple, quiet life until her sudden disappearance months ago. No clues, no farewell, nothing. This mansion, this photo, was the first sign of a hidden truth. The billionaire slowly sat down, unable to hide the fear in his eyes. "Your mother," he began, voice shaking, "didn't tell you who she really was, did she?" The girl's breath caught. She wasn't prepared for what he revealed next. How does a daughter discover her mother's secret life? And what truth could a billionaire be hiding that would change everything she thought she knew about the woman who raised her? To understand this, we need to go back to the day everything started unraveling. Where are you watching from? Kindly drop your location in the comment below. Maya Johnson was 23 years old, working as a junior architect at a small firm in Nigeria. She lived in a modest apartment, drove a second-hand car, and spent most of her free time worrying about her mother, Grace, who had vanished 6 months ago without a trace. Grace had been a quiet, simple woman who worked as a seamstress from their small home. She never talked about her past, never mentioned Maya's father, and lived a life so ordinary it was almost invisible. But 3 days before her 52nd birthday, Grace had simply disappeared. No note, no phone call, no explanation. One morning, Maya woke up and her mother was gone, along with a single suitcase and her passport. The police said there was no evidence of foul play. Grace had withdrawn a large sum of money from her savings account the day before she vanished. She'd left deliberately. But why? And where had she gone? Maya had spent 6 months searching. She'd hired a private investigator who found nothing. She'd contacted every relative she could find, but Grace had no family anyone knew about. She'd posted on social media, checked hospitals, morgues, everything. Her mother had simply vanished into thin air. The not knowing was destroying Maya. Every day she wondered if her mother was safe, if she was alive, if she'd done something wrong to make Grace leave. The guilt and confusion were overwhelming. Then came the letter. It arrived on a Tuesday morning, delivered by private courier. Expensive cream-colored envelope, Maya's name written in elegant calligraphy. Inside was a brief message on embossed stationery. "Miss Johnson, I have information regarding your mother's whereabouts. Please come to this address tomorrow at 2 p.m. Come alone, Mr. Richard Adebio." The address was in Banana Island, the most exclusive neighborhood in Lagos, where only the ultra-wealthy lived. Maya had never been there, never known anyone who lived there. She showed the letter to her best friend, Temi, who immediately protested. "This could be dangerous. You can't go to some stranger's mansion alone." "But he knows something about my mother. What if she's there? What if she's in trouble?" "Then we call the police." "And tell them what? That I got a mysterious letter. They already think my mother left voluntarily. They won't help." "Maya, please, at least let me come with you." "The letter says to come alone. What if he won't talk if I bring someone? This might be my only chance to find out what happened to her." Against Temi's advice, Maya decided to go. She arranged for Temi to know exactly where she'd be and to call the police if she didn't check in every hour. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. The next day, Maya dressed in her best professional outfit and took a taxi to Banana Island. The security at the gate checked her ID against a guest list and waved her through. The houses here weren't just houses, they were estates, massive compounds behind high walls. The address led her to one of the largest properties on the island. The gate opened automatically as she approached, revealing a long driveway lined with palm trees leading to a stunning ultramodern mansion, all glass and white stone, with a fountain in front and luxury cars parked to the side. Maya's hands shook as she walked to the front door. Before she could knock, it opened, and a uniformed butler greeted her. "Miss Johnson, please come in. Mr. Adebio is expecting you." The interior of the mansion was even more impressive than the outside. Marble floors, soaring ceilings, expensive art on every wall. Maya felt completely out of place in her simple dress and worn shoes. The butler led her through several rooms to a large study lined with bookshelves. "Please wait here. Mr. Adebio will be with you shortly." Maya stood in the middle of the study, too nervous to sit. She noticed the books were all first editions. The furniture was probably worth more than her annual salary, and there was a Rolex watch casually sitting on the desk that could have paid her rent for a year. Who was this Richard Adebio, and how did he know her mother? She walked slowly around the room, looking at the various items on display. Expensive sculptures, awards and commendations, photos of a distinguished-looking African man in his 60s shaking hands with presidents and celebrities. And then she saw it. On the wall behind the desk, mounted in an ornate gold frame, was a large portrait. Not a photograph, but an actual oil painting, the kind wealthy people commissioned for important occasions. It was a portrait of her mother. Not her mother as Maya knew her, the tired seamstress in simple clothes with work-worn hands. But her mother young, maybe in her early 30s, wearing an elegant evening gown, her hair styled beautifully, diamonds at her throat, looking radiant and sophisticated and nothing like the woman who'd raised Maya. Maya felt the room spin. She grabbed the edge of the desk to steady herself, staring at the portrait in shock. It was definitely her mother. Same face, same eyes, same small scar on her left eyebrow from a childhood accident Grace had once mentioned. But who was this version of her mother? And why was her portrait hanging in a billionaire's mansion? "I was hoping you wouldn't see that quite yet," a voice said from the doorway. Maya spun around. The man from the photos stood there, Richard Adebio himself. He was tall, distinguished, with graying hair, and the confident bearing of someone accustomed to power and wealth. He wore an expensive suit and Italian leather shoes, and his face showed a mixture of sadness and resignation. "Where did you get this?" Maya demanded, her voice shaking. "Why is my mother's photo in your house?" Richard closed the door behind him and walked slowly into the room. "It's not a photo, it's a painting. I commissioned it 25 years ago." "That doesn't answer my question. How do you know my mother?" Richard sat down heavily in the chair behind his desk, suddenly looking much older than his years. "Please, sit down, Maya. This is going to be difficult to explain." "I don't want to sit. I want answers. Where is my mother? Why did you bring me here?" "Your mother is safe. She's staying in my villa in Cape Town, recovering." "Recovering from what?" Richard took a deep breath. "From stage 3 breast cancer. She had surgery 8 weeks ago, and she's currently undergoing chemotherapy." The words hit Maya like a physical blow. She sank into the chair across from the desk, her legs suddenly unable to hold her. "Cancer? My mother has cancer." The surgery was successful. The prognosis is good. But the treatment is intensive, and she needed complete rest and the best medical care available. "Why didn't she tell me? Why did she just disappear?" "Because she didn't want you to see her sick. She didn't want you to sacrifice your career and your life to take care of her. And because..." Richard paused, struggling with his words. "Because she was afraid the truth about her past would come out if she stayed in Lagos for treatment." "What truth? What past? Who are you to my mother?" Richard looked at the portrait on the wall, his expression filled with old pain. "I'm the man who loved her for 15 years. I'm the man she left to protect you. And I'm the father you never knew you had." The words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. Maya couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process what she'd just heard. "That's impossible," she finally whispered. "My father died before I was born, my mother told me." "Your mother told you what she needed to tell you to keep you safe. Maya, I'm your biological father. Grace was my partner, my love, the most important person in my life. And when she got pregnant with you, everything fell apart." "I don't understand. Why would she lie? Why would she leave you?" Richard stood up and walked to a safe hidden behind one of the bookshelves. He entered a code and pulled out a thick folder, which he placed on the desk in front of Maya. "Because I was married," he said quietly. I was married to a woman named Victoria from a powerful political family. It was an arranged marriage, loveless but strategically important for both our families. I'd been trying to divorce her for years, but her family had connections, influence. They blocked it at every turn. He opened the folder, showing Maya old photographs. A younger Richard with her mother, looking happy together. Pictures of them at beaches, at restaurants, at what looked like a private villa. Grace and I were together for 15 years, Richard continued. She knew about Victoria, knew our situation was complicated, but we loved each other. We were planning to finally be together, consequences be damned. And then Grace got pregnant with you. What happened? Victoria found out, and she threatened to destroy Grace. You have to understand, Victoria's family had connections to very dangerous people. They'd already made others who'd crossed them disappear. Victoria told me that if I didn't end things with Grace immediately, she'd make sure Grace was killed, and it would look like an accident. Maya's hand covered her mouth in horror. I didn't believe her at first, Richard said, his voice breaking. I thought she was bluffing, but then Grace's apartment was broken into. Someone left a warning, a threat painted on her wall. That's when we knew Victoria was serious. So my mother ran. We made a plan. I gave her money enough to start over somewhere else to raise you safely. She changed her name from Grace Obie to Grace Johnson. She moved to a different part of the city, became invisible. And I stayed in my marriage to protect you both, always watching from a distance, always making sure you were safe. You've been watching me my whole life. Yes, I paid for things anonymously. Your school fees whenever Grace struggled, medical bills, that scholarship you got for university. That was me, channeled through a foundation I control. I couldn't be your father openly, but I tried to take care of you in whatever way I could. Maya felt tears streaming down her face. Her entire life had been a lie. Everything she thought she knew about her mother, her father, her history, all of it was false. Does my mother know I'm here? She asked. No, she'd be furious if she knew I contacted you. She made me promise years ago that I'd never tell you the truth. She wanted you to have a normal life, free from all of this. He gestured around the mansion. Free from the danger that comes with being connected to me. But you brought me here anyway. Why? Richard's face crumbled. Because she's dying, Maya. The doctors say the treatment is working, but she's weak. And she cries for you every day. She regrets leaving without explaining. She's terrified she'll die before she can see you again, before she can tell you she loves you. Then take me to her. Let me see my mother. It's not that simple. Victoria is still alive, still dangerous. If she finds out Grace is back in my life, if she discovers you exist. I exist whether she knows it or not. You can't keep this secret forever. I know. That's why I brought you here, because I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of protecting a marriage that was dead decades ago. I'm tired of watching my daughter grow up from a distance. Maya, I want to acknowledge you. I want to take care of your mother properly. I want us to be a family, even if it's late, even if it's complicated. What about Victoria? Victoria had a stroke 2 months ago. She's alive but incapacitated. Her family's power has diminished. For the first time in 25 years, I'm not afraid of what they can do. That's why I brought Grace to my villa for treatment. That's why I'm telling you the truth now, because finally, maybe, we can stop hiding. Maya sat back in her chair, overwhelmed. 23 years of questions suddenly had answers. Her mysterious father wasn't dead. He was a billionaire who'd loved her mother enough to sacrifice everything. Her quiet mother wasn't just a seamstress. She was a woman who'd given up wealth and love to protect her daughter. And the life Maya had thought was small and ordinary was actually built on a foundation of enormous sacrifice and hidden love. I need proof, Maya said finally. I need to know this isn't some elaborate scam. Richard nodded. Of course. He pulled out another folder. Birth certificate with my name on it, kept hidden all these years. DNA test results I had done years ago when I managed to get a sample from your doctor during a checkup. I hope you can forgive that invasion of privacy. Letters from your mother to me. Hundreds of them spanning decades, and this. He handed her a small photo album. Inside were pictures Maya had never seen. Her as a baby, being held by a younger Richard. Her as a toddler, with Richard and Grace together, all three of them looking like a family. Her at various ages, candid shots clearly taken from a distance by someone watching and documenting. "I have pictures of every important moment of your life," Richard said quietly. "First day of school, graduation, your first architecture award. I was always there, always watching, always proud, even if I couldn't tell you." Maya burst into tears. The weight of revelation, of lost time, of a father who'd loved her from the shadows, all of it crashed over her at once. Richard came around the desk and knelt beside her chair. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you had to grow up without me. I'm sorry your mother had to struggle. I'm sorry for all the years we lost. But if you'll let me, I'd like to try to be your father now. Openly. Properly. Does my mother want this? Or are you making this decision for her? Your mother is terrified. She's afraid you'll hate her for lying. She's afraid you'll reject her when you learn the truth. She's afraid of so many things, but she misses you desperately. She needs you, Maya. And whether she admits it or not, she wants you to know the truth." Maya wiped her tears. "I want to see her. Today, now, I don't care about the danger or the complications. Take me to my mother." Richard smiled, the first genuine smile she'd seen from him. "I was hoping you'd say that. I have a private jet waiting. We can be in Cape Town by evening." Just like that. Just like that. I've wasted enough time, Maya. I'm not wasting another day. 6 hours later, Maya stood in a beautiful villa overlooking the ocean in Cape Town. The house was elegant but warm, filled with flowers and afternoon sunlight. And in a comfortable room with large windows, sitting in a chair wrapped in blankets despite the warm day, was her mother. Grace looked different. Thinner, paler, her hair hidden under a colorful headscarf. But her eyes were the same, and when she saw Maya standing in the doorway, those eyes filled with tears. "Maya, what? Richard, what did you do?" "I told her the truth, Grace, all of it. She deserves to know." You promised you'd never." "Mom," Maya interrupted, using the word she'd said 1,000,000 times but now understood in a completely different context. "It's okay. I'm not angry. I just need to understand." Grace started crying, deep sobs that shook her thin frame. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I lied to you. I just wanted to keep you safe. I wanted you to have a normal life away from all of this." Maya crossed the room and knelt beside her mother's chair, taking her hand. "You gave me everything, Mom. You worked yourself to exhaustion to raise me. You sacrificed a life with the man you loved. You gave up wealth and comfort. You did all of that for me. How could I be angry?" "I left you," Grace sobbed. "I disappeared without explanation. I let you think I might be dead." "You left because you were sick and scared. I understand, Mom. I wish you'd told me. I wish I could have been there for your surgery, but I understand." Grace pulled Maya into a tight hug, both of them crying. Richard stood in the doorway, tears running down his own face, watching his two loves finally together again. Over the next few days, Maya stayed at the villa while her mother recovered. Richard had hired the best medical team, and Grace's prognosis was indeed good. The cancer had been caught in time, and with proper treatment, she'd likely make a full recovery. But more than the medical care, Grace needed this time with her daughter. They talked for hours, Grace filling in all the gaps in Maya's history. She told her about meeting Richard at a charity event where she'd been working as a server, about their instant connection, about the 15 years they'd loved each other despite impossible circumstances. "He wanted to marry me so badly," Grace said one evening as they watched the sunset together. "He was ready to give up everything, but I couldn't let him. His business empire would have been destroyed. His family would have been ruined, and Victoria's family would have killed me. I had to choose your life over our love." "That must have been the hardest decision you ever made." "It was, but you made it worthwhile, Maya. Every hard day, every lonely night, every time I missed Richard so much I could barely breathe, I'd look at you and know I'd made the right choice. You were worth everything." Richard visited every day, bringing flowers, bringing food, sitting with them both. He and Grace would hold hands and share looks that spoke of decades of love and longing. And slowly, Maya began to see them not as her parents, but as two people who'd loved each other against impossible odds. "What happens now?" Maya asked one evening when all three of them were together. "Do you two finally get to be together?" Richard and Grace exchanged glances. "Victoria is still alive," Grace said. "As long as she is, there's risk." "But you said her family's power has diminished," Maya argued. "And Richard, you're one of the most powerful men in the country. Surely you can protect us now." "It's not that simple, sweetheart," Richard said. "Victoria's family still has connections, and there's the matter of public scandal. If the truth comes out, my business could suffer. Your mother could be attacked in the media. You could be targeted." "So what? We just keep hiding forever?" "No," Richard said firmly. "No more hiding. I'm filing for divorce from Victoria, citing irreconcilable differences and her current medical incapacitation. Her family won't like it, but there's nothing they can legally do. And then, when your mother is strong enough, I'm going to marry her. Properly. Publicly." Grace gasped. "Richard, you can't, the scandal." "I don't care about scandal. I've spent 25 years caring what people think, protecting businesses and reputations. I'm done. I want to spend whatever time I have left with you and our daughter. Openly. As a family." "What about me?" Maya asked. "What do I tell people? That my dead father is actually alive and a billionaire?" "You tell them the truth," Richard said. "Or you tell them nothing. It's your choice, Maya. I won't force you to acknowledge me if you're not comfortable, but I'd be honored if you'd let me be your father publicly." Maya thought about her quiet life, her modest job, her normal friends. Acknowledging Richard meant stepping into a completely different world. Wealth, privilege, media attention, public scrutiny. Everything would change. But she looked at her mother, who'd sacrificed everything for her, and at Richard, who'd loved them both from the shadows for decades, and she knew there was only one answer. "I want the truth to come out," Maya said. "All of it. I want people to know that you and Mom loved each other, that you did your best in an impossible situation, that I'm your daughter, and I'm proud of that." Richard's eyes filled with tears. "Are you sure? It won't be easy." "Nothing about our story has been easy, but it's real, it's ours, and I'm tired of hiding too." 3 months later, Maya stood beside her parents, Richard and Grace, now officially married after his divorce was finalized, at a press conference in Lagos. The media had been in a frenzy since news of Richard Adebio's secret family had leaked. Some outlets were scandalized, others were sympathetic. Everyone had opinions. But standing there, holding her mother's hand, with her father's arm around them both, Maya didn't care what anyone thought. Her mother was cancer-free. Her parents were finally together. And she had a family, complex and unconventional, but real. "Yes, I had a relationship with Grace while I was still married," Richard told the assembled reporters. "Yes, Maya is my biological daughter. Yes, we hid this for 25 years, and I'm not going to apologize for loving them. My marriage to Victoria was arranged, loveless, and ended decades ago in everything but paperwork. My real family, my true family, is standing here with me today." The questions came fast and furious. Some reporters were aggressive, trying to paint Grace as a homewrecker, Maya as a scandal, but Richard shut them down firmly. "Grace is the strongest, most selfless person I've ever known. She gave up everything to protect our daughter. And Maya is an accomplished architect who built her career on her own merit without a cent of my visible help. They're both extraordinary, and I'm proud to finally stand beside them." Later that night, back at Richard's mansion, which now felt like home to Maya, the three of them sat in the study under the portrait that had started everything. "Do you regret it?" Maya asked her mother. "All those years of struggling, of being alone, of hiding." Grace looked at Richard, then at Maya, and smiled. "Not for a second. Every choice I made led to this moment. You're safe, healthy, successful. Richard and I are together. We won. We might have taken the long road, but we got here." "What will you do now?" Maya asked her father. "With your business, with your life?" "I'm stepping back from the day-to-day operations," Richard said. "I've spent my life building an empire. Now I want to spend my time with the people who matter. Your mother. You, maybe future grandchildren if you're so inclined someday. Maya laughed. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I just got a father. Give me time to adjust before you start demanding grandchildren. Fair enough, but Maya, there's something else. I want you to come work with me. I have developments that need architectural vision. I want to create something with my daughter. What do you say? Maya looked around the study, at the books and the awards and the portrait of her mother that had revealed everything. She thought about her small firm, her modest apartment, her ordinary life, and she thought about the extraordinary story that was her heritage. I say yes, she said, but on one condition. Name it. We use some of the money to create a foundation for women like Mom. Single mothers, women in dangerous situations, women who need resources to protect themselves and their children. Let's turn our story into something that helps others. Richard smiled proudly. You're definitely my daughter. That's a perfect idea. As the night deepened, the three of them talked and laughed and planned. Years of separation had ended. Decades of secrets had been revealed. And from the ashes of sacrifice and hidden love, a family had emerged. Maya thought about that first moment in the study when she'd seen her mother's portrait and felt her world crack open. She'd been terrified then, but now she understood. Sometimes the truth is scary. Sometimes revelations shatter everything you thought you knew. But sometimes, just sometimes, those broken pieces come back together into something more beautiful than what was there before. Sometimes the secret that destroys your understanding of the past is actually the key to a better future. And sometimes, the question, why is my mother's photo in your mansion, leads to the most incredible answer you could never have imagined. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Because this story teaches us that love finds a way, even against impossible odds. That sacrifice made from love is never wasted. That secrets kept to protect can eventually be revealed when the time is right. And that family isn't always simple or conventional, but it's always worth fighting for. Subscribe to Reality Folktales for more powerful stories about hidden truths, unexpected reunions, and the love that survives everything. And remember, the life your parents lived before you was complex and full of choices you may never fully understand. But if those choices were made from love, they deserve honor, not judgment. Sometimes the greatest love stories are the ones that stay hidden for years, waiting for the right moment to finally be told.